Hi, welcome to the Hidden Story podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Vasilia Bienenstock. Today, our guest is Daryn Calm Down Harris. She's an influencer boxer. And before we get into it, I want to make sure that you subscribe or follow, and also follow me on Instagram at Dr. Vasilia. And there in the link, you will find my Substack and my mental health journals, including my Track and Transform series journals, and some other interesting things that can help you out along the way. Today, our guest is Daryn Harris, also known as Daryn Calm Down Harris. Daryn Calm Down Harris is an influencer boxer with a goal of going pro. Originally from New York and now based in Miami, Florida, Daryn is known for her explosive striking abilities. She transitioned into combat sports from a fitness background, often sharing her journey of overcoming addiction and embracing a warrior lifestyle. So, welcome, Daryn. I'm so glad to have you here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you. So let's just jump right in. Maybe tell me about where you are in your boxing career right now, what that looks like for you.
Yeah, so I started boxing. My first boxing fight was last year in February, February 25th. So basically a year ago today I started boxing. Before that I was kickboxing for about 6 months. I got an injury on my leg, so I took a boxing match without knowing anything about boxing. But I knew that I loved to fight, and whatever I could fight in, I took. So I took my first boxing fight last year in February. I won that very decisively against a girl who had 3 years of boxing experience. So I
Wow,
was like, okay. Yeah. So I was
that's
like, I
very cool.
think this is for me. Like, I love this. I felt very comfortable in there in the ring. So after that, I continued to fight basically every month. Um, my goal when I started boxing is I had a vision in my head to fight on Misfits. I kind of manifested it in a sense, praying to God every night, but
Mm,
just like, just telling myself, yeah, one day I will be on Misfits as an influencer and be the world champion for the weight class that I was in. Um, I had, I think, about 2 or 3 amateur fights at this time. A manager
mhm.
picked me up in the influencer scene, and they were really close in connection with Misfits and Mams Taylor, who is the promoter in Misfits. So they said, hey, as long as you keep winning these fights, we can get you an opportunity to fight for a world title before the end of this year.
Wow.
And I knew I didn't really have the experience to take that fight, but I manifested the opportunity. I literally got a fight kit like 6 months before they offered me that fight with a
Yeah.
bunch of sponsors on it that like didn't pay me, but I was like, I'm working with these people already, like on a basis where I was posting for them and manifested that opportunity. Um, so I had 8 fights last year in my first year of boxing, and then I had one fight so far this year. So we want to
Wow.
keep the momentum going. I did lose that Misfits fight, which was, I thought, was like the biggest moment in my career, and I was
Mm,
really upset, but it was all redirection. Like, I got a new coach, I have a new team, I moved to a new city. So it's just like a lot of changes that came. But now, my last fight I had, I really did a great job. I won, and I'm just really proud of like coming off of 2 losses and finally getting the win
mhm.
again. Just, I want to keep that momentum going and get as many fights as I can this year.
That is really cool and such a good point. Losses, no matter what arena you're in, whether it's sports or work or something else, it's like it can feel like such a setback and get you in your head if you let it, I feel like, and um people can get on this streak of losing because they're in their head, they're like, I have to win, I can't lose again. Or but I like your approach that basically you reframed it, you saw it as like information, like what is this telling me I should change? How can this actually make me better? I think that's what really gets people ahead more than anything. Sometimes it's like you have to lose to get ahead.
Right. No, I agree with that. And it's like, if I didn't go through the experience I did with Misfits,
Mhm.
I wouldn't have been where I'm at right now. And like I've improved so much in boxing and my technique. And like I'm actually feel like I'm learning how to box. And
Mhm.
for the direction I'm going in to be a pro, it's like I'm in really good hands now. So I'm blessed for like the things that I went through, even though in the time it felt like it was like the end of the world.
I
Like
bet.
I know and I have so much faith in God that like no matter what I go through, it's going to be for a purpose and a reason.
Yeah, I bet. And the manifesting part that you said, I think that's so cool. I do that kind of stuff too, where I will like get something ready, or pretend I already have it before I even have it.
Hmm.
And it's like gets you over that confidence hump where if you just kind of jump right in, you don't have enough time to get into your head and start doubting yourself or start wondering if it's gonna happen. Do you feel like you do that in other areas of your life too?
Um, I do feel like I do that. I just don't think as much as I did for and I do for boxing because I
Mhm.
feel like this is like my main thing right now and
Yeah.
will be for the foreseeable future. So I feel like right now it's just where I have the most focus on doing that and I'm growing like as
Mhm.
a person. So yeah, I will say
Yeah.
that this is like the biggest time in my life where I've done that.
Yeah. What helps you keep your focus so much on boxing?
So before boxing, I used to be an addict. So
Mhm.
the big thing for me is like staying busy and having a purpose. And when I was working a 9 to 5 job, obviously I have like a great degree. I went to a good college. I'm really blessed for that as well. But it's like, yeah, on the outside, it looked like I had everything together. I was making good money, but it was like I was living for the weekend. I was like, okay, when I get into the weekend, I'm gonna go party and I'm gonna
Yeah.
forget about everything. And I just felt like I was escaping reality.
Mhm.
And with boxing, it's like I have to be present all the time. I have to be on game.
Mm.
I can't be going out late. I can't be staying up late. So it's just like that kind of like structure in my life I
Mhm.
didn't have before. And I'm a very like um I was diagnosed with OCD when I was younger. So
Mm.
if I'm in a routine for something, I'm going to keep it. So I feel like I was having those bad routines before.
Yeah.
And now I've gotten myself into like this healthy routine. And sometimes it could be a little unhealthy because I'm over exercising.
Mhm.
But that's when I have to kind of step back and be like, hey, like, I need to calm down a little bit and I need to refocus on like what is the bigger goal is to be in the sport for a long time, not just to wear myself out and do too much.
Yeah, it's like on one hand, you kinda have to live it, and because you live it, that it keeps you structured, it keeps you focused, and it sounds like it keeps you healthy and motivated
Hmm.
and achieving what you wanna achieve.
Definitely.
Maybe you could tell me a little more about the OCD and what that was like for you.
Yeah, so growing up, I had a lot of behavioral problems, and which is why I like texted my dad the other day, and I'm like, why didn't you put me in boxing as like a child?
Yeah.
Because I was always having panic attacks. My parents would try to like hold me down
Mhm.
because I would be flailing and stuff. And I've I've grown out of that as I got older, obviously, but it was just like doctors didn't really know what I had. They were like, "Oh, you have BPD, you have bipolar 2, you have OCD, you have ADHD and taking so many different medications, Wellbutrin, like you name it, I probably was on it as a child."
Mhm.
Um and I just feel like as I got older, I've been in therapy like so many years, like 10 years at this point, like
Mhm.
on and off different therapists. What's worked best for me to kind of overcome um those issues in my life has really been boxing. And it's kind of been like my other therapy. Like when I'm really anxious or I'm really stressed out, I will go boxing and I'll focus or I'll watch fights and I'll just be like, okay, I'm doing this right now and I'm just gonna take a step back and be
Yeah.
present. So um, I haven't really done like, I don't think the medication worked for me, but
Hmm.
I will say that talk therapy really worked for me. And having a good support group with my Bible study, going to
Hmm.
church, being involved in the church, has really helped me overcome those struggles I had.
You make such a good point, when you're talking about what it was like when you were a kid and when you had panic attacks or you acted out, that they tried to, like, physically hold that energy in by restraining you, and what you had to do was get it out, and that's,
Yeah,
like, one of the primary things we do in somatic therapy, that if you have anger, the more you hold it in, the more it's gonna dysregulate you, sometimes turn into other things, anxieties, sickness, mood disorder, like, symptoms, where if you physically can get it out in a healthy way, it, like, helps close that loop because, the anger or feelings of aggression, those things are, like, normal or natural. It's okay to have those feelings, but we're taught to stifle them so much, and that's, like, it sounds like that's you're medicated, stifled until you learned how to actually, like, work with your body.
exactly. It's like for so long, I felt like I was masking things and I wasn't just like dealing with them. And now that I'm like at this age of 26, I'm like, okay, I'm a full blown adult. There's no one that's going to tell me, oh, I need to take this medication or I need to do this kind of like therapy. It's like what I know that I struggle with, I still struggle with, but I'm trying to find outlets for that.
Mm.
And I think the church has really helped me.
Yeah. I mean, sounds like, I mean, 26 is, like, to me, really young, and when I was 26, I was not, I was still on medication. I mean, I took all those medications too, and when I was 26, I was not in the place of self-acceptance, like, of just saying, "Hey, these are some of the issues that I have," and, like, manage them, work with them, or like you're doing, like, sometimes, like, use them to your advantage, rather than just say, "Okay, what's wrong with me?" Medicate, and do these. I was still in that place when I was 26.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, um, do you feel like some of the substance use that you talked about, was that, like, kind of a way of self-medicating for you, or was it something else?
Yeah, I do feel like it was like, I feel like it was a way kind of, I'm a very outgoing person, but I kind of also felt like to like when I did the drugs and I was out that people liked me better.
Mm,
So like that was also something that I convinced myself of that's not true.
yeah.
Um but it's like I I used to use ketamine a lot because I didn't want to think and I didn't want to be in my thoughts. So I knew that if I did that and I would go out somewhere that I could just be there and I could be chill and I don't have to like, I was always a person that was really anxious when I went out. So I
Mhm.
feel like that's probably why I did self-medicate in those ways.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a way to just get out of my own head. And, the next day it's like always worse. So it was like, okay, now it's a repeated cycle.
Yeah.
And then,
It makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, and ketamine especially makes sense because it does kinda shut down your thoughts, or, give you that sense of calm, helps you get over, I guess, some social anxiety or just being in your head a lot. But yeah, like, when you said the next day it's worse, like, not only withdrawals from substances, I feel like, but you never get that exposure, like, you never get that chance to just be you and feel good about yourself without the substance, so it kinda increases the anxiety over time.
right, definitely.
What is it that made you have that moment where you decided that's just not what you wanted to do anymore?
So I had a kickboxing coach, and when I worked with him, that's kind of when I realized, like, hey, in order to be a fighter, you can't be doing these things. And he would always tell me, like, at the time, I was still drinking energy drinks, I was still using a vape, and I told him, I looked at him dead in the eyes, and I'm like, I want to be a fighter, and he was like, well, fighters don't drink energy drinks, they don't stay up late, they don't go partying. They're fully committed. And that's like, then I looked around at some of the people that were, at the top, and those people had never drank in their life. They had
Yeah.
never been to parties. Like they were so committed to doing this their whole life that nothing else mattered. And it's like he kind of put it in my head like, if it's not helping you, it's going to hurt you. So it's like I might have thought like it's the energy drink. I just need a little more energy, but it's like, okay, then your heart is racing too fast
Mhm.
and you can't breathe as well. So it's like,
Huh.
I just knew that, and he put that in my head, is like the more stuff that I do, the further from my goal I'm gonna get.
Yeah.
So when I started taking boxing really seriously, and I started realizing like, hey, I can make pretty good money off this, and I can make this my career. It's something I love. I need to fully focus on it and get rid of every distraction I had.
Wow. I mean, that's like incredible willpower, which, is not enough for a lot of people to be able to get clean and change their life around. It's I guess it's like what you said at the beginning, that purpose, like the purpose that you
Mhm.
found in boxing is so strong for you that it's helped you like change everything around.
Yeah. I just feel like I prayed for so long, like to God, like, hey, if this
Mhm.
is something I should be doing, if this is the spot I should be in, like, just let me know. And like, I kept working really hard. I was winning a lot of fights. And then when I lost that fight, I was like, oh, maybe like I shouldn't be doing this. But, there was still that motivation and that drive inside of me that was pushing me every day to wake up, go to the gym, keep training. It's like, I knew internally, and like the Holy Spirit was speaking
Mm.
inside of me, is to like keep following my dream, and eventually it's going to pay off.
Yeah, I love that. Um, just finding that, resourcing that within yourself to be able to make the choices that get you like where you want to go. And how did you manage some of the anxiety or social anxiety when you stopped using substances?
So it's really interesting because I feel like when I was using substances, all those people in my life are not in my life anymore.
Wow. Yeah.
So yeah, it does it's sucks because it's like I feel very lonely. I don't really
Mm,
have many friends. I probably have like two people I can genuinely call my close friends at this point.
mm-hmm.
Um, so that was kind of like a big thing, is like removing myself from those spaces, removing myself from those people. And it's like
Yeah.
in the moment, it does suck. And I'm very lonely. I'm single. I live alone. Like there are sacrifices I had to make. But at the end of the day, it's like I know it was a better decision for me is to get away from those people and those places that I was in.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like in some ways you're still figuring it out. It's okay to have two people that are the ones you rely on. It's like that quality, right? Over quantity. And if those people that you were with aren't friends with you because you're not living that lifestyle, or there's no other way to connect to them besides living that lifestyle, like, how worth it is that to keep those connections?
Exactly. It's like empty connections.
Yeah.
And it's just like my friend and I were talking about this the other day because he started to come to the realization that like a lot of the people that he goes out with are not really his friends.
Mhm.
And he's younger than me. So I was like, yeah, it's just kind of like something I feel like you go through in your 20s, is like you either wake up to it or you never do. Some
Yeah.
people are, complacent, living that life and living for the weekend, but I feel like there's a lot of people that are waking up to that and being like, hey, there's more to life than just going out and partying.
Yeah, complacent. I think that it sounds like that's not something that's gonna be in your vocabulary, like, it just sounds like you're not that kind of person, like, when you saw that stuff happening and you saw what you had to do to get where you wanna be, it was, like, one and done, like, you just decided to go for it.
Yeah. And I always think about like if I didn't find boxing, like I probably would have still been doing what I was doing.
Mhm.
So that's something that sucks. And my mom is also an addict. So
Really?
she's an alcoholic. So it's like seeing that and seeing my mom still in addiction. She never really found her purpose. And it makes me sad because it's like I know how hard addiction is and how hard to break
Mhm.
it is. And it's like, I don't think people really do unless they have a true purpose to do it.
Yeah, like, unless they have that why, like, you have to really, really commit to yourself, that you wanna change, and nothing's gonna stop that, and why you wanna change. So your mom is still in active addiction.
Mhm.
That must be so hard. I mean, what was it like growing up? seeing her like that? Was she always at this level? I know that alcoholism, it can progress. Like, what was that like with her?
Yeah, so my parents got divorced when I was 10.
Mhm.
Um, so I never really knew my mom had a drinking problem
Mm.
until the divorce happened and until I started seeing their arguments and them fighting in the house. And it's like, uh, certain things were going on where I was just like, oh, that doesn't seem right. Or,
Mhm.
my mom like progressively got worse as I got older. So my dad got like most custody of us. I would see
Oh,
my mom like twice a week. Yeah. So my
wow.
dad stayed in the house with us. My mom was in an apartment. Um, but I just also feel like the fact that not that we were like taken away from her, but it's like usually you see the mom having custody of
Yeah.
children. So I think
Yeah.
that probably made it worse too. Um,
Yeah.
and I feel for her, and she's gotten a lot better, I will say now, but also I don't really know because I don't live with her.
Mhm.
But from what she says, and when she comes to visit, she's not using alcohol as much as she used to.
Okay.
Um, but I just feel like she's getting older, and I don't know. I just feel like there's probably days that she does drink a lot, but
Mhm.
I think that she's starting to realize that it is hurting her, but
Yeah.
it's just stuck in that addiction for so many years. It's hard.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, like, not to psychoanalyze your mom, but yeah, I mean, I wonder if your dad being in the household before they got divorced, like, hid some of that from you guys because it sounds like he was a very stable figure, and then it was more apparent when she was on her own, and then, yeah, I can't imagine, like, feeling like you, like, lost your kids or you couldn't be that mom to them, and it sounds like that just spiraled her down further. It's such a hard story, and I wonder, like, how what she lives with, like, thinking about that, if how she feels about herself and
Right. And I feel like my mom, she was adopted.
Mm.
Both her parents died at a very young age. One of them killed themselves. So,
Oh my god.
uh, yeah, my mom has had a very hard life. And that's like, I think
Yeah.
she has pretty bad PTSD because randomly she'll like say things like, oh, in my childhood, I did this. And I'm like, whoa, I never knew that. So
And it's,
it's
like,
just,
something really bad or
no, like something like, "Oh, yeah, I remember we used to go tip cows in Oklahoma." I'm like, "What? Like, you never told me anything of that." So it's just like
oh,
her past,
yeah.
she doesn't like to bring up a
It's, like,
lot.
more, like, fragmented yeah, like, you don't know that much about her, she doesn't wanna share, doesn't wanna open up.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah. Wow. Well, you have mentioned, God and the Bible several times, like, maybe you can tell me about what role God and faith has played in your life?
Yeah, so this is also really interesting because I grew up, my dad's whole side of the family is Jewish.
Mhm.
So my mom didn't have a big family because she was adopted and both her parents passed. So my mom kind of would follow in Judaism and the religion, but she never fully converted. So
Mhm.
I never really was religious growing up at all. I didn't understand the Torah. I didn't understand the Old Testament. And as I got older, it was like 2021, I started to like kind of like question my faith. And I'm like, hey, like,
Mhm.
who is God? Like, what is God in my life? And that's when I started to read the Bible. And I was like, wow, this makes a lot of sense. And like things just
Yeah.
started clicking. And I was like, okay. And my sister at the time had already converted to Christianity and she lives in Texas. So she was sending me a bunch of stuff and I started watching a bunch of stuff. And I was like, okay, this is the truth. This is the way. And like, this is what I'm going to follow moving forward. So, um,
Yeah.
coming into my faith was hard for my family, like my dad's side of the family to understand. And, like
Mhm.
being Jewish, and, it's just like they were like, why don't you want to be Jewish anymore? And it wasn't that I didn't want to be Jewish. I
Mhm.
I love being Jewish. I'm ethnically Jewish,
Yeah.
I'm always going to be. It's in my blood, but it's like the religion part of it and like just Christianity in itself, it made a lot of sense. And to be able to like look to Jesus and be like, hey, I'm broken and
Mm.
save me. And I'm going to do everything to follow in your word and follow in your footsteps. It just gave me like a lot of hope for my life that I didn't have when I was following Judaism because I didn't really know anything of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally understand that. I'm Jewish ethnically as well, and your religion doesn't have
Mhm.
to do with the same thing as your ethnicity. Sounds like Christianity, it made sense to you in your life. It resonates with you. And yeah, from what I know, it's about being loved and having that path and being forgiven and having like that guiding light. Um,
Yeah.
is there anything in particular that you find about Christianity that helps you get through day to day?
I just feel like in general, like a theme is like a lot of people get upset when they lose people or things don't work out in their favor.
Mhm.
But I just see it as like a redirection and realignment. And it's like one of my friends passed, my best friend actually, she
Oh my
passed away in
god.
2021 at 23. She was super young. And
Wow.
it was like a freak accident. Like she got hit by a truck and was
Oh
in a
my god.
coma. And yeah, God bless
Terrible.
her. But
Yeah.
it's just like knowing, like, people always think like, oh, why did this happen, like why did this person die, but it's like death doesn't end when you die. And like that kind of like
Mhm.
guiding from Jesus Christ, from the Bible, is like knowing that like death is not the end of the story. And you
Yeah.
know she's still living with us and her
Mhm.
spirit is living with us. So it's like um that's kind of like what really spoke to me the most is like in Judaism, you don't really see that um,
Yeah,
as much. So,
that's true. Yeah, in Judaism, there's not really like that, afterlife in the same way or, the spirit and things like that, and yeah, that's really true. Wow, that's an incredible loss. I'm so sorry to hear that. And yeah, it
yeah,
sounds like this is really it's kind of coincided when you found Christianity and started to get you through things.
definitely.
Yeah. Well, I'm curious about your name, the nickname Calm Down. Where does that come from?
So, I worked at a social media company in sales,
Mhm.
and the owner of the company, the CEO, he had like a brand called Calm Down, which was like hats and caps and things like
Hmm.
that. And um when I was about to take my first boxing fight, I was working there, and one of the guys that worked for him, that worked there also, was like, "Hey, you should change your name to Calm Down, and they'll sponsor your fight." And I was like, "Oh," and that was like my first paid sponsor. So I was like,
Wow.
"Okay, I'll change my name." And it was funny because the name before that was from my old coach, and it was Crazy. And I was like, I don't want to be known as like crazy, but I am crazy. So I was like, okay, like I'm just gonna be calm down because it's the opposite of crazy.
Mhm.
So I just thought it was like a funny, like total opposite of it. And like now I like always remind myself in my fights to calm down because sometimes I get too excited.
Yeah,
So
like is like almost like to center yourself, you mean?
mhm,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
be like relax, calm down. So I just tell
Yeah.
myself that in my head, and the name
Yeah.
stuck.
I
It's a
like
pretty
that.
cool.
It
Thank
is a
you.
cool name. It goes well, like, in the mid Daryn Calm Down Harris. That sounds really cool. It goes well. Um, when you look forward, like, look at yourself, if you closed your eyes and imagine yourself, 3 years from now, what does she look like? Like, what is that Daryn doing?
I would say hopefully in 3 years from now, I'm still boxing. I'm working towards hopefully a world title at that point in my
Cool.
pro career. Um, hopefully I'm in a loving relationship. I'm gonna be closer with God. My life is pretty good now, but it would be nice to have a partner. So
Yeah, I get that. I stayed single for a really long time myself. I was, like, single for, like, 7 years after I got divorced, and it's, like, up and down, and I hated it, and then sometimes I loved it.
mhm.
Um, and, yeah, I feel like that relationship came into my life when I became, like really more grounded in who I am. Like, I know
Right.
myself, I have my things, I know what I love, and really got clear on how I wanted that person to complement my life.
Yeah. I feel like the same way because it's like right now too, it's like I'm not fully there's a lot of things I can work on, but it's like you're never going to be fully
Yeah.
perfect
No,
for your person.
you shouldn't try to
But
be,
I
yeah.
I feel like though a lot of the times when I meet people, it's like I feel like I have more of my life together than they do. So it's hard for
Mm,
me to be with someone that's still building.
yeah.
Um, and maybe that's just because I'm not like seeking out the right people, but
I
it's
don't
hard.
know. It's just like there's so many you're dating in Miami, girl.
I know.
There's
Oh,
so
Fort
many.
Lauderdale, but it's the
Okay,
same.
yeah. There's so many that are gonna come through, and it's like, I don't think that idea that, like, we just keep attracting the same kind of people. I feel like it's like, we just gotta keep filtering them out, you know?
Yeah. It's true though, and it's like something that me and my friends were talking about. Is like every person you date is telling you what you want to have in a future partner and what you don't want to have. So
Yeah.
it's like almost like a lesson. Like I
Mhm.
wouldn't say that it's time wasted. Like
Yeah.
everyone that I've been with has, helped me realize what I wanted. So
Yeah. I agree with that. I don't think it's time wasted either.
mhm.
All right. Well, before we wrap things up, I have these like 10 like rapid fire this or that questions. So I'll just ask them if you're ready and um you answer and
Okay,
okay.
let's go.
All right. Drums or flats?
Flats.
Same. So far people always say drums. Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Dark or light colors?
Dark.
Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset.
Texting or voice notes?
Texting. Can't stand voice notes.
Yeah. I always read the
I know
transcription of
the transcript, the summary. I'm like,
it's like, I
oh,
can't
okay.
listen to this, like, just to read
No.
it. Alone time or people time?
Alone time.
Cozy night in or dressed up night out?
Night in.
Head or heart?
Heart.
Plan or spontaneous?
Plan.
Safe or brave?
Brave.
I love that. Do you feel like there's anything that I didn't ask you that is something that you'd want to share or want people to know?
I guess just the one like concluding thought is like I feel like a lot of people think that their life is what their life is.
Mm,
And a lot of people don't take risks and they don't try new things. But how are you supposed to know if you love something if you've never tried it? So it's like I don't know. I just encourage everyone to try new things, go to new places, meet different types of people because you never know what you're going to come across.
mhm.
And to just keep an open mind and an open heart. And it's like you don't have to live your life and just work a 9 to 5 every single day and be depressed. Like there's more to life than, I guess, just trying to make money and that's it. Like there's so much more.
Yeah,
So I just want to encourage people to, you know, seek things out with their heart more.
that's so powerful, right? Like, I think a lot of people do just resign themselves, whether they want to or not. Like, they just start to believe that this is it. Like, this is all there is to life, or they say things like that to themselves. I can never do this. I wish I had that. Wish I had what this person
Yeah.
had. And they don't realize that, hey, maybe you can have that and more.
Because I never knew, like, if somebody told me 5 years ago, hey, you're going to be an influencer boxer and you're not
Right?
going to use your degree whatsoever, I'd
Ugh,
be like, what do you mean? I'm going to school for 4 years to study data analytics. Like, I
yeah.
love data analytics, but it's like you never know what your life is going to turn out to
That is
be.
so true, right? And if you didn't take those risks, it's so easy to be like, well, I studied this. This is a job I should have.
Yeah.
Instead of taking that risk and do something that's like wildly different than data analytics.
So different,
Yeah,
but
that is so cool.
it's just crazy.
It is.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I think what's so interesting about what Darren shared today, so many things, but one of the things is how um, trauma and a lot of mental health issues are passed down. She's talking about how she lived with not only some of her own mental health issues, anxiety that manifested in behavioral ways, but also just seeing the issues of her mother. And so when we think about, we're here speculating. Obviously, we can't talk to her mom, but we think about maybe some of the grief or guilt or other things that her mom's carried and things that Darren doesn't even know about because her mom shared so little about her own childhood. I guess something that her mom didn't really want to talk about so much. So she's looking back and we think about how, we also carry a lot of the grief and the mental health issues of our parents and our grandparents, even going further back, even people in our lineage that we never met. Um, it's what we call transgenerational, right? One thing is passed down, and a lot of times people think of, something passed down through your family as, like, passed down just through your genes, so that somehow you inherit a certain gene, like there's one gene for alcoholism or there's one gene for depression, and it doesn't really work like that. First of all, there's not one gene for any one issue. There are multiple ones that can go into it, and even if there are genetic factors for certain mental health problems like depression or anxiety, those are just influencers. They're not a guarantee that we're going to have those issues. They influence the likelihood of us having those same problems in our own lives. So it's really compounded with it's like that nature versus nurture that people talk about. So nature is what we come into the world with. So our genetic predispositions, our existing personality, and then nature. So how the world shapes us. So things that we inherited from people in our families that we never even knew, from the things that they experienced that like encoded onto their genes, the traumas that they had that then alter their gene expression that then get passed down to us, and then how that interacts with our current environment, our childhood environment. And so in our childhood, we are really learning all these unconscious beliefs about ourselves, about the world, about how to behave. And what we learn interacts with what we already came into this world with. And that's what can manifest later on into mental health issues. But on the flip side of that, it's also what is about resilience. So you see in Darren's story, just so much resilience, really an incredible willpower. The fact that finding purpose in boxing, realizing who she was and who she really wanted to be and wanted to commit herself to was enough for her to make this major transition, which is not easy to make. Even if you're just using substances socially, it's really not easy to give up. And you hear her saying how she had to give up so many friends, change her whole life around just to do that. That is just an incredible story of willpower and resilience. Um, and so it's pretty amazing how the world shapes us, but we also shape the world around us. And I think her story illustrates also how there's always so much room for growth. There's so much room for change. There's so many wonderful things in life. And I love what she said about how don't just assume that your life has to be what it is now. Don't just assume that you don't have the ability or the potential or the resources to get where you wanna go or do something you never even thought you could do. If you just try, if you take risks, if you're confident, act confident, act as if, act confident before you even feel confident, that can change you and you might actually really surprise yourself. So I just think this is a really heartening conversation with Darren. And I relate to her a lot. And I think that a lot of other people can too.